Hey, good morning. We got a bit of an early start here for the Coach Bozz Show, episode 5, season 3. Um, Coach is behind the scenes there. We got Coach Didi there. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How's everything?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, what's your role? Explain your role to the audience, and as far as your role on the coaching staff.
Yep. I'm an assistant coach. I work primarily with the point guards, but I pretty much have my hands all over. Like I work with the forwards, the wings, but very heavy in the player development and the recruiting part of Seton Hall women's basketball.
Excellent. So, then, what was your journey after you graduated?
After I graduated, I went to training camp for Connecticut Suns. And then I went overseas for 2 years. I played in Romania, Iceland, and Finland. And then I kind of shifted a little bit to refereeing for about 2 years. I made it to Division 1 level, but it just really wasn't fulfilling. I reached out to Coach B shortly after, and he hired me as a GA. I pretty much had my hands in multiple things and just trying to figure out my niche and what I really was comfortable doing. If I wanted to become an assistant coach, and I found my niche. I went to St. Bonaventure for 2 years, and then Coach Bozz brought me back on staff, and this I'm going into my third season.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you played for the Expressions too, right?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that was Brittany Morris, a
There was
former player as
I know
well.
there's a few players. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so what was off about refereeing? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it just really wasn't fulfilling. Like I wanted to be more hands-on. I wanted to develop, I wanted to mentor. As a referee, you just, learning the rules, traveling, calling games and that's it. So I found myself refereeing a middle school game at the Rose Classic in New York City. And this little girl was very frustrated with herself after a loss, and I just pulled her to the side and I was just kind of giving her some pointers and some things that she should, try to do next game. And that's when I knew, like, this isn't, isn't for me. And I had one more opportunity. I went to the grassroots program, NBA program for referees at Boo Williams. And that's one of the, it was one of like the top invites as a referee. You want to get invited to the grassroots NBA program, and even then, I completed the camp, but it just didn't feel right for me. And I ran into a coach outside of the gym, who followed me throughout, and she gave me some advice. And was like, Didi, listen, you can't please everybody. I know you're really good at refereeing, but do what you want to do. Follow your heart, and that's what I did. I followed my heart, and it led me back home to Seton Hall University.
So now that you're on the bench as a coach now, when there's a bad call, are you the first one to jump up and say, "Hey, I was one of you. That's not right, or that was
Oh
a wrong
yeah,
call"?
absolutely. Last year when we played at Columbia, there were a couple calls that I thought, from what I've learned, I didn't think that those were the right calls. And Coach B told me, just clip them up. I clipped them up, sent it to our assigner, and she gave us some feedback. But yeah, I'm always looking at the calls and looking at the positions of the referees and where their eyes are trained to look at. And when they're looking outside their area and calling and blowing a whistle outside their area, I'm always on it. Like, that's not your call. Like, why are you looking there? Something else happened. You missed that. Appeal the call. Things like that. So I'm pretty much onto that as well.
So what's the hardest call to make? I used to referee a bit myself, not obviously the level you're at, but what's the hardest call to make that you think? Oh,
I would say an offensive foul, because you have to. Well, before, when I was refereeing, you had the arc, right? So the arc was in place, so you had to study the lower defensive box, and so you had to understand if the drive happened outside of the box and you were outside of the like you were outside of the arc, then it's not a charge. But if the play happened inside of the LDB, the lower defensive box, and you're inside the circle, then it's a charge. So you gotta think of the rules, and then you got to identify when did that player slide into the lower defensive box, did they get their feet outside the arc, all of that stuff. So I thought that was the most challenging call. But now we don't have that in our game. So I would say now in today's game, I would say maybe a, a travel or moving screen. I would say, I think referees screw that up pretty often.
if I'm not mistaken, again, I'm going surely off of memory over that crazy game on Thursday night last week. there was a call right before the end of the game. They called what? Moving
A moving
screen, right?
screen, yep, on
Like who
Jordana, yep.
calls that at that juncture of a game?
Yeah, and I didn't even think it was. I didn't even think it was obvious, right? Like now she really moved, and like everybody saw it, and it was just you had to go and get that call. Then obviously you have to put a whistle on it. But I didn't even think it was obvious. I think it was marginal contact. I thought that they could have let the play go on, but every year they start this, the referees, they start the season, and with these point of emphasis, and moving screens are one of them. Guarding the ball is one of them. So they just try to get out, call that as much as possible in the beginning of the year, but then towards the end of the year, like they're not calling, moving screens that has marginal, contact.
Especially at that point of the game where the
Yeah.
game's on the line, and I don't know. I thought it was, and then the other side was the call Savannah got on the rebound that gave
Yeah.
you the two free throws.
Yeah. I mean, it, yeah, yeah. I mean, refereeing, it's you got to have a feel for the game as well, right? A lot of referees, and again, I was a referee, so some referees never played the game, so they don't have a feel. They're just going off a rule, so they reading a book. That's in a rule book. That's in a rule book. But when you have a feel for the game, you're able to officiate the game a lot better, and you'll be able to have a patient whistle. The play happen. You got to let it start, develop, then finish, and then maybe you have a whistle on it. Sometimes this marginal contact. You're like, oh, I don't have to blow my whistle, stuff like that. But if you don't have a feel for the game, it could be a little challenging to referee. But I think it's really about the rules. Get the call right, and you did your job.
So tell us about your pro experience. Now, how was it going to camp with the son?
Oh, it
And
was.
now, do you feel there should be another pro league for the women in America? It seems
I
like,
do.
again, I work for the WABA, so I know how that level's like. But it seems like there's something missing in between.
Yeah, and I think that stuff is starting to grow, right? We have the unrivaled, the players are staying home and not traveling overseas to make money. Unrivaled, they're making pretty good money. So I think the game is going to continue to develop, but I do think if we can develop more leagues like that where the players can actually get paid and they don't have to go overseas to make money, then I think it would be best for everyone because overseas is not easy. It's an experience. You have to experience it. In my experience, it was kind of up and down. My first stop was in Finland. I felt like I was playing really well, but management wanted something different, and it was a new head coach, so it was a lot going on there. So I came home, for a little bit, came back to Seton Hall, was training, and then I went to Iceland. That was great. It was very cold, but
Iceland.
yeah, it was a great experience. Very cold, but nothing that I'm not used to being from Jersey. But the people were great. The team was great. The pay was on time. It was a great experience. And then I went to Romania for 9 months straight, and that was up and down. Went through different management, different coaches, Americans coming in and out, not getting paid on time. So it was a lot going on over there. But I did it for the love of the game, and I just stayed focused for 9 months. And then I kind of was like, all right, I've been playing basketball since I was in second grade. When I come home, I don't really know where I belong, like what's next for me. And I was just ready to jump start my life, after, beyond, playing basketball. I stayed around it because that's what I ultimately want to do. I want to stay around basketball because that's just my passion. I love it. But I was ready to put the ball down and jump start my career.
So my head's spinning right now. You mentioned Iceland, small little island country. So all the teams were just in Iceland.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
You think Finland, you think Romania. You're in the continent.
Yep.
Teams can travel.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
There, you're kind of like you're in Iceland. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Romania was really it was more Americanized. It was a lot more things to do. I was out there with another American on the men's side, so we kind of hung out a lot and just experience Romania and what it had to offer. But it was a great experience, honestly, outside of the little hiccups. But it was like I said, overseas it's an experience. You have to experience it, at least for a year, give it a shot. But it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
So you mentioned you coach the guards and the point guards.
Yep.
What was going through your mind when um, Jada kind of I think she was sick, right, on
Hmm.
Thursday, so she couldn't really play in the extra frames.
Yeah.
So you had Shaylin at point guard.
Yep.
Now, did you work Shaylin up to be a point guard, or
Well, yeah, we've been. I mean, we've been working with Shay at the point guard spot for a few months now. So it wasn't anything new to her. Or like today, she was. She was with the starters today, but yesterday's practice and previous practices, she runs the point on a second team. We give her reps at the one spot and a lot of reps at her primary spot at the three. But I mean, she was a point guard in high school, had the ball in her hands, so it
all
wasn't
right? So she
something that
has
she
okay.
had to kind of adjust to. She hasn't played the point in so long, but she's rolling now. I think she's one of our better options at the one spot outside of JD Eats.
Yeah, I think you obviously have your deepest team you've had there in a long time.
Yeah.
Anything else you can say about the your players?
They work hard. They work hard. I think ultimately everybody's on the same page. We want to win a championship. We want to go to the NCAA tournament. We haven't been to the tournament since what 15, 16 year, 2016. So I think we're competing every single day. We're getting better every single day. We know the goal and we're working towards it every single day. And I think the girls are understanding that everybody has something to bring to the table. And if everybody just be connected, cheer for each other, play as a team, and do what you do best. That's a tournament team. And we're slowly but surely we're getting there. They're figuring that piece out.
Final question. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know it's Thanksgiving coming up and
No,
travel and
you're
whatnot.
good. You're good.
Um, Coming about the recruiting, who do you have coming in, and what are you excited? What you're excited about each player? What they're bringing to the team next season?
Oh yeah, so we're bringing in 5 players. Kennedy from Utah, Nia from Vegas. We're bringing in Shamira from Alabama. We're bringing in Giselle from Washington and Ari from Mexico. And I mean, I love this group because again, we're bringing in kids that can come in and compete right away. Come in and compete right away for minutes, for starting spots. NEA is a top 100 kid, ranked 80 something in the top 100 ESPN. So, and we're coming in really big. Giselle's the only small player that we have coming in at 5'5", 5.5", 5'5.5", but everyone else is 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". So we're trying to get to that. We're trying to play bigger. And I do think, as a staff, we're understanding that the successful teams are bigger. The UConns, if we want to compete with the UConns and we play these P4s, NC State, we got to have 6'4", we got to have 6'5". And we're understanding that and we're taking it, day by day with the recruiting. But I think we're doing a great job as a staff. Everybody has, their hands in the pot with that, and, we just want to keep the ball rolling, bring in freshmen, many freshmen as possible, develop them because we may get lucky in a portal here and there, which we have been, and I think that's a tribute to our connections and who we are as people and as a staff and as a program. But if we can bring in freshmen every year and develop them to just being better, and getting better every single year, I think we're gonna be the program that we're fighting to be, and that's number one in the Big East.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you for your time. It was great talking to you.
Of course, thank you for having me. I greatly
Yeah,
appreciate it.
and I'll see you at Walsh Gym.
Thank you.
You got it.
See you.
Thank. Be good. Flip it. Is Coach there? Huh.
How we doing? All right?
Pretty good. So, Coach, first
Thank
question
you.
for you, a little off the record question.
Yeah,
Whose dog is in your office every game? Is that your dog or your
that
son's
is
dog?
my daughter's dog,
Okay. I,
Ralph.
I look up and
Little,
there's always a dog sitting there.
I know, little. Hold on, I'm trying to get this right. Little fella that he is.
Coach, once again, happy birthday. How was your birthday
Thank you.
weekend?
It was wonderful. We started 2 weeks ago with the party, and then we've lasted the last 2 weeks, so it's been really good. I've been really blessed.
Has the team come down yet from Thursday night?
Yeah, Bob, I was a little disappointed. I thought, I don't know if it was more out of a relief or more out of whatever. I thought our excitement would be a little more. It was a little tempered, but I think the kids understood we were very fortunate to win that game, that we'd have to play a lot better on a normal basis. So we can't let a kid score 42 points on us as good as that kid was. She played fantastic. We've got to play better as a team and as a group, and we've worked on that. Today was our last practice. We gave them off Wednesday and Thursday. and then they'll come back Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to prepare for Tuesday's game.
In fact, I will be there on Tuesday. So
Great coming down. Thank you for coming down on that.
yep, I'll be covering the team then.
It'll be a
So
good game.
Quick
For
program. Do
sure.
you want to do a show on Monday because you have games Tuesday and Wednesday next week?
Yeah, we'll do it Monday. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I really
you open up the
appreciate.
Big East on Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
Is that a bit early for you to open up the Big East this early in the season?
It is. We open up Thursday. It is early. We needed our calendar is a week short this year, so we needed to play a couple games earlier. Overall, all of us. Some teams are playing 3 games. Some teams are playing 4 games for a semester before the break, and stuff. So yeah, we just gotta be able to do that and be able to handle that.
So, Coach, from being a head coach and a coach as long as you've been doing it, after the game last week with the men's, Coach Shaw was kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a little weary about the long trip he was about to take all the way to Hawaii and back. It takes a lot on the long flight takes a lot off your physical, mentally.
Yeah.
Is it worth? I mean, are those trips worth it for a head coach? Obviously, this is before yesterday's victory and everything. Now you went to California, did almost the same thing. Did you think Thursday's slow start was because of a long flight? Maybe getting back to time zones and whatnot?
Yeah, the last thing I want to do is take anything away from Fordham. I thought they came in with a lot of energy and really were very aggressive against us. Maybe we weren't able to match their aggressiveness, but we've been home since Monday. So we were home all day Monday, all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday. I'm just going to give them credit because I believe in that. We need, like Shaw went out 5 days early for the game on Monday. So I was glad to see they played well because school spent the money, he spent his time. They have to watch over the kids. And they chose to do that, so they were prepared to play Monday, and the kids came out and played well. And that's a tribute to Shaw and his staff and our administration for allowing that. Same thing for us in California. We went out a few days early, and we were able to, win those games. I think nowadays, I don't know if he would do the Hawaii trip again because there's not a lot of NIL opportunities. We did San Francisco because we do have some great board members out there, and they had come to play us last year. But right now, any tournament you play in, it's really got to be generated. You got to get some generation of NIL money. And Hawaii's got a great tournament, a lot of prestige. But that tournament's going to go downhill if they don't start giving some NIL money towards it.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense unless you're a West Coast team to travel that far.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts about Princeton coming up on I think Tuesday night?
I think a top 25 team in the country. They have 3 tremendous guards in Madison St. Rose, Ashley Chi, and Sky Belker. They're 3 of the best guards in the Big East, let alone they play in the Ivy League. A tremendous center and Fatima Tall. So they have really good players. They're strong. They're physical. And they only have 1 loss. That was to Maryland in a game that was very close going into the last quarter. We got to come out aggressive, Bob. We have to come out. We can't be soft. Can't be on our heels. Can't be worried about a lot of things. Again, I gave the kids a big lecture this week. We're here to win basketball games. Yes, education. Yes, enjoy everything. Yes, enjoy the journey. We're here to win basketball games, though. And we have we have 10 games in 30 days coming up. So, you know what? We need everyone to be ready to play, not worried about what happened yesterday, but be focusing on what's going to happen today. So, they're good. Very well coached. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament. If we want to get there, we need to be able to beat a team like that.
Coach, starting last season, when you're on the bubble for the NCAAs and going forward, and your recruiting class coming in next season, do you feel your program is turning a corner to an upward trajectory?
I've been here 12. This will be my 13th year. In the 12 years here, we only didn't qualify for postseason 1 time. 11 out of 12. Now, we didn't go twice because of COVID, but we've always had good teams. This team is hopefully going to take it to the next level and get into the tournament like we did 2 of our first, our second and third year. But I don't want to measure it just on that. I want to measure how well we play. Are we playing good basketball? Are we getting better? Can we retain our players? If we can retain our players, we'll have 4 starters coming back the following year. So, we have good players. They have to execute. They have to play tough than we're playing. Um, but, I'm hoping I don't think turn the corner. I think maybe make the next step into becoming, a perennial NCAA team as opposed to a perennial postseason team.
Do you watch a lot of basketball on the off days,
I
or
do. I
you
was at
stay
the
you
Nick.
stay away a little bit?
No, I watch all the time. I have the NBA package. I watch almost every game in the fourth quarter, just so we can see end of the game situations. I went to the Nick Net game with my wife and my son last night for his birthday. I got to meet. Well, Tim Capstra's the radio voice of the Nets, is a good friend of mine. Sarah Kustok, the TV voice of the Nets, is a good friend of mine. So we went down to the court and met them and talked basketball for a while. And they gave me some good pointers, which we utilized today. So I watch a lot of basketball. Obviously, I watched our men play yesterday. I watched them play today. And I'm so proud of them because, they keep fighting. They keep playing hard. And, whatever happens today, they're going to have a really good year. I've said it from the beginning, and I truly believe it.
Who's your NBA team that you follow?
My wife is a big Knicks fan. And my son's a big Celtic fan, but I watch them all. I watch everybody. I like the Knicks. I like Thibodeau. I was disappointed he got let go, but we'll see how Mike Brown does. His offense flows a lot better, but
Have you been
his
following?
defense.
Have you been following Sandro? His
Yes,
journey.
I'm so happy. He's
He's
in the
starting now.
rotation.
He's playing really well.
Yep, in the rotation, playing well for a good basketball team. I think maybe the team that has the second best record in the East.
Yeah, I went to that thing a few weeks ago where we went to the Nets game and he was there and he saw the fans afterwards. It was really a really nice time, and
Yeah.
what a great representation of Seton basketball, like you are as well.
He's a wonderful, thank you. He's a wonderful young man and stuff. Speaking of that, last night I got to see Mark Bryan. I said hello, and the first thing he says to me, he's assistant on the Knicks. First thing he says to me, he goes, "Great win today, right, for our men?" I go, "Absolutely." So it does resonate. It's still a big part of it. And, having a great leader like Shah, who leads Seton Hall Blue, really means a lot. And I think, we got to stay behind, clearly both our programs, but our men's program as well, because these boys are giving everything they have. We have a great leader who's an alum, and we need everyone to stay positive with us for sure. Both
Well, I know it's
teams.
Thanksgiving. I don't want to hold you too much longer, but final question: what were your thoughts about that crowd Thursday night as the game got more exciting? That's almost the loudest I think I've heard Walsh Gym in a long time.
We don't win the game without our fans. I mean, they had that kid really shaken up when she took the 2 foul shots at the end of the game. We were very, very fortunate to win the game. Savannah Catalan makes a great play to grab the ball and get fouled. Mariana keeps it alive by tipping it. And our kids never gave up. A lot of teams would have given up, and we didn't. Jada played her heart out, being as sick as she was. She was told not even to play the game, and she's like, "No, I have to play." So, for her to be able to perform the way she did, I'm really, really thrilled with her, and I always am, and stuff. And we found a way to win, Bob, and that says a lot about us. But
Uh,
our crowd really kept us going, really kept us in the game, and I don't think we win the game without the crowd.
real quick, I don't know if I
Yeah.
mentioned this during the presser. Jordana, was she off or was she
Yeah,
just
Jordana.
just happens?
Yeah, she played well. I think she quite didn't have quite her legs, but she did a lot of other things outside the stat sheet. I mean, she kept the ball alive many times. She played with great energy. She was in help position a lot. She created a lot of scoring opportunities for us, even if she didn't score the ball. She created other opportunities. I mean, Jordana's a tremendous player, and I'm so proud of her for how hard she works and everything. She might have statistically not a great game, you know, that game, but she helped us win the game a lot.
Awesome. Well, Coach, happy Thanksgiving. As a
Thanks,
fellow
Bob.
Italian, do you have the Italian Thanksgiving or you have a normal Thanksgiving?
No, we have a normal Thanksgiving. Years ago, when my mom was alive and my grandparents were alive, we had the Italian one, but
You know, the
just
the
a
8 hour,
nice.
nap in between.
Yeah, we used to have the manigot. We used to have all that, the pasta, everything. My wife does a great job with it now, but it's still not the same.
All right, Coach, I will see you down in Princeton. Have a happy Thanksgiving, you and your family and your team and your coaches. And hey, right now, as we stand, Seton Hall basketball is 10-0. That's all we can ask for.
10-0. Happy Thanksgiving, all.
You
Thanks,
too, buddy.
Bob.
Go Pirates.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Take care, Coach.
Great job, Bob.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See you
Do it
Tuesday.
Monday next week.